I thought it was just another pirated movie torrent. That's the part that still keeps me awake at night, because if I had searched for something else that evening, if I had gone outside for 10 minutes, if my internet had disconnected at the right moment, none of this would have happened. My life would still be normal. I wouldn't jump every time a car slows down outside my apartment. I wouldn't sleep with all the lights on. And I definitely wouldn't be recording this story at 4 in the morning with my curtains nailed shut. It started 3 months ago during a thunderstorm. The power in my apartment kept flickering while rain slammed against the windows hard enough to sound like fists. I was sitting at my desk half awake, scrolling through old forums, looking for obscure horror movies people claimed had been banned. Most of the links were dead. A few redirected to sketchy websites covered in pop-ups and fake warnings. Then I found a thread posted by a deleted user. The title said, "Do not open if you value your life." Corny. Dramatic. Exactly the kind of thing people write online when they want attention. But the replies underneath were strange. Nobody was joking. Nobody was acting edgy. Every response was either deleted, or just one sentence long. "He found me. It's real. Please remove this thread." I should close the page right there. Instead, I clicked the link. The download started instantly. No confirmation. No file name. Just a black window flashing across my screen for less than a second. Then nothing. I remember laughing because I thought I downloaded a virus. I opened my downloads folder expecting some broken media file, but there was only one item sitting there. A folder called Janice. No icon. Just a blank white square. My cursor froze when I hovered over it. Not the computer. Just the cursor. Like something on the screen didn't want me touching it. I dragged the folder onto my desktop anyway and opened it. Inside were hundreds of files. PDFs, audio recordings, security camera footage, spreadsheets, medical reports, things with names like subject transfer log and phase SAM behavioral results. At first I honestly believed it was an elaborate ARG. Some creepy internet project designed to look like classified government leaks. But then I opened a video file. Grainy footage appeared on screen. A man was strapped to a chair in a white room. His face was swollen like he'd been beaten for days. Someone behind the camera asked him a question. "What do you hear when you sleep?" The man started crying immediately. Not normal crying either. It sounded painful, desperate, animal-like. "Please," he whispered. "Please make it stop." The camera moved closer. "Answer the question." The man stared directly into the lens. I still remember his eyes. Bloodshot. Exhausted. Completely broken. Then he said something that made my stomach tighten. The scratching behind the walls. Suddenly the video cut to static. I sat there staring at my monitor while thunder rattled the apartment. Something about the footage felt wrong in a way movies never do. Real fear has a certain randomness to it. Tiny details no actor would think to include. The shaking breath. The awkward silence. The fluorescent light buzzing in the background. I told myself it had to be fake, but I kept opening more files. Every document mentioned the same word over and over. Janice. Some files described psychological experiments involving sleep deprivation and audio frequencies. Others listed missing persons from different states. A few pages were almost completely blacked out except for one repeated phrase. Subjects reported identical auditory phenomena. Around midnight, my internet suddenly died. I checked my phone. No signal either. That's when someone knocked on my apartment door. 3 knocks. I froze. Nobody visits me that late. The knocking came again. Calm. Patient. I walked toward the door without making a sound and looked through the peephole. Nobody was there. The hallway lights flickered weakly outside. Empty corridor. Peeling wallpaper. Silence. I almost opened the door before I noticed something near the floor. A shadow. Not standing outside the door. Under it. Like someone was directly on the other side blocking the light from the hallway. I stepped back so fast I nearly fell. Then my laptop speakers crackled behind me. I turned around slowly. The video I'd watched earlier was playing again by itself. The man strapped to the chair was screaming now. Loud enough to distort the speakers. Loud enough that I could hear panic in his voice. But that wasn't the worst part. The camera in the video was moving through a hallway. A hallway that looked exactly like mine. Same stained carpet. Same flickering lights. Same apartment numbers. I remember whispering, "What the hell?" Then the camera stopped in front of a door. My door. Apartment D Batling say. The man behind the camera lifted his hand toward it. 3 slow knocks echoed through my speakers. At the exact same moment, the knocks came from my real front door again. I couldn't breathe. Every hair on my arms stood up. The video continued playing. The door on screen slowly creaked open. But the apartment inside wasn't mine. It was darker. Rotting somehow. The walls looked wet. And standing in the middle of the room was a person facing away from the camera. Tall. Motionless. The figure tilted its head slightly, like it heard something. Then it turned toward the screen. I swear to God it had my face. My exact face. Pale skin. Same haircut. Same scar near my eyebrow. Except the eyes were completely black. The video ended instantly. My apartment fell silent again except for the rain outside. Then my phone buzzed. One notification. Unknown number. The message only said, "You downloaded it too early." I stared at the message so long my vision blurred. Another notification appeared before I could react. "Do not let them hear you." Then my phone shut off completely. Dead battery. Except it had been charging beside me the entire night. I remember hearing movement above my ceiling right after that. Slow dragging sounds. Like heavy furniture being pulled across concrete. My upstairs neighbor had moved out 2 weeks earlier. The apartment above me was empty. The scraping continued anyway. Back and forth. Back and forth. Then came the scratching. At first. Nails against drywall. I looked toward the corner near my kitchen and realized the sound was coming from inside the walls. My laptop screen flickered once. A new file had appeared in the Janice folder. Live feed. I clicked it before my brain could stop me. Security camera footage opened instantly. It took me several seconds to understand what I was seeing. Then my stomach dropped. The footage was from inside my apartment. From the upper corner of my bedroom ceiling, aimed directly at me, the figure behind me didn't move. I kept staring at the laptop screen, waiting for it to blink or twitch or do something human, but it just stood there in the darkness near my hallway. My own breathing sounded painfully loud inside my apartment. Slowly, carefully, I turned around. The hallway was empty. No one there. No footsteps. Nothing. When I looked back at the screen, the figure was gone from the camera feed too. Then the feed changed. Static swallowed the image for a second before another room appeared. It took me a moment to recognize it. My childhood bedroom. Same blue walls. Same cracked closet door. Same glow-in-the-dark stars I stuck to the ceiling when I was 10 years old. I hadn't seen that room in years. The camera moved slowly toward the bed. Someone was sleeping under the blankets. A smaller version of me. I felt sick instantly because I remembered that night. I remembered waking up convinced someone was standing in my room watching me. I told my mother about it the next morning, but she laughed and blamed horror movies. The camera in the video leaned closer to the sleeping child. Then a voice whispered through my speakers. Subject displays early auditory sensitivity. I slammed the laptop shut. The apartment became silent again except for the scratching inside the walls. I backed away from my desk, trying to think clearly, but panic was already taking over. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every instinct screamed at me to leave the apartment immediately. I grabbed my jacket, shoved my phone into my pocket, and rushed toward the front door. Before I could unlock it, somebody whispered my name from the other side. Not loudly. Softly. Like they were standing inches away. Ethan. My entire body locked up. Only 3 people still called me Ethan. My mother, my ex-girlfriend, and my younger brother. The voice outside sounded exactly like my brother. But my brother had been dead for 8 years. I stumbled backwards so hard I hit the kitchen counter. The voice came again, slightly louder this time. Ethan, open the door. Tears instantly filled my eyes because grief does something horrible to your brain. Even when you know something isn't possible, a tiny desperate part of you still wants it to be real. My brother died in a car accident when he was 16. I identified his body myself. But hearing his voice again after all these years cracked something open inside me. I actually reached for the doorknob before another sound stopped me. Breathing. Right outside the door. Slow wet breathing that didn't sound human anymore. Then came scratching. Fingernails dragging gently down the wood. I ran to my bedroom instead and locked the door behind me. Childish instinct. As if a bedroom lock could stop whatever this was. Rain hammered the windows while I paced in circles trying to get my phone working again. Dead. Completely dead. The laptop on my desk suddenly opened by itself with a loud metallic snap. The screen glowed bright in the dark room. New files were appearing rapidly inside the Janus folder. Hundreds of them. Every second another file popped into existence. Most were named with random strings of numbers. Then one appeared that made my stomach drop. Ethan Morrow Final. My cursor moved on its own toward the file. I wasn't touching the trackpad. It opened automatically. A document filled the screen. Classified internal memorandum. Subject, Ethan Morrow. Status, unaware phase completed. My blood went cold. The document listed details about my life that nobody online should have known. My elementary school address. Medical records. My father's military history. The date my brother died. There were transcripts too. Conversations I had in private. Phone calls. Therapy sessions. Even arguments with my ex. Lines at the bottom of the page were highlighted in red. Subject continues displaying inherited responsiveness to pattern signal. Auditory contact probability increasing. Recommend retrieval before awakening event. I didn't even understand what half of it meant, but one phrase kept repeating throughout the files. Auditory contact. The scratching inside the walls suddenly stopped. The silence felt even worse. Slowly, another sound replaced it. Knocking. Not at the front door this time. Inside the apartment. 3 soft knocks came from somewhere deep within the wall beside my bed. I stared at the drywall in horror. Another 3 knocks answered from the wall near the closet. Then another from the ceiling above me. It spread through the room like something crawling closer inside the structure of the building itself. Knock. 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 My laptop speakers crackled again. A distorted voice whispered, "Do not answer them." Then all the lights in my apartment went out at once. Complete darkness swallowed the room. I heard movement immediately. Fast movement. Something sprinting through the hallway outside my bedroom door. Bare feet slapping against the floor. I held my breath. The running stopped directly outside my room. Then came silence. A minute passed. Maybe two. I don't know. Time felt broken. Suddenly my bedroom doorknob began turning slowly from side to side. I could hear the metal straining under pressure. Whoever or whatever stood outside wasn't trying to break in. It was checking if the door was locked. Then came my mother's voice. Calm. Gentle. Ethan, sweetheart, open the door. Tears burned my eyes again. Please, the voice said softly. You re-scaring me. It sounded perfect. Exactly like her. I almost answered before remembering something horrifying. My mother had died 11 months earlier from cancer. The voice outside started crying. Why won't you let me in? I covered my mouth to stop myself from responding. Then the crying abruptly stopped. Complete silence returned for several seconds before the voice changed completely. Deep. Cold. Male. He can hear us now. The doorknob stopped moving. Footsteps slowly retreated down the hallway. I waited in darkness for what felt like forever before forcing myself to move. My hands shook violently as I searched my room for anything useful. Flashlight. Weapon. Anything. That's when I noticed something under my bed. A faint glow. I knelt carefully and looked underneath. There was a phone lying there. Not my phone. An old black flip phone covered in dust. I pulled it out slowly. The screen was already on. One unread message waited on it. Said 凌晨2點13分. If you found this, they already know where you are. Another message appeared instantly beneath it while I stared. Do not trust the voices. Then another. Leave before 凌晨3點. I typed back with trembling fingers. Who is this? The reply came immediately. You sent this to yourself. Before I could react, the closet behind me creaked open by itself. Slowly. I stumbled backwards so hard I crashed into my desk, knocking the laptop onto the floor. The closet door slammed against the wall with a violent bang that echoed through the apartment. For one horrible second, I saw something inside the darkness. A shape crouched unnaturally low, like a person folded in half. Pale fingers gripped the inside frame of the closet door. Too many fingers. Thin. Long. Bending in ways fingers shouldn't bend. Then lightning flashed outside my bedroom window, flooding the room with white light for an instant. The closet was empty again. Completely empty. I couldn't breathe properly anymore. Every muscle in my body felt tight with panic. I grabbed the flip phone and bolted out of the bedroom before my brain could stop me. The apartment hallway looked wrong somehow. Longer than before. The shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls. The ceiling seemed taller. My front door looked farther away than it should have been. I ran toward it anyway. Halfway down the hall, I heard footsteps behind me. Bare feet slapping softly against the carpet. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Some instinct deep inside me screamed not to look. The footsteps matched my pace perfectly. When I slowed down slightly, they slowed too. When I sped up, they sped up. Always directly behind me. Close enough that I could almost feel breath on the back of my neck. I reached the front door and grabbed the handle. Locked. My hands fumbled desperately with the deadbolt, while the footsteps stopped right behind me. Silence. Then a whisper near my ear. Don't open it. I spun around. Nobody there. The hallway behind me was empty again. But the air smelled strange now. Damp. Metallic. Like old blood trapped inside rusted pipes. The flip phone buzzed violently in my hand. New message. The hallway ISN, T real. Before I could process that, another message appeared. Look through the peephole. My entire body resisted the idea, but I leaned slowly toward the door anyway. The hallway outside my apartment looked normal at first. Quiet. Empty. Flickering lights. Then I noticed something impossible. Apartment Yi Batling Say was directly across from mine. My apartment number. Same peeling paint. Same scratch marks near the knob. Two identical apartments facing each other. My stomach twisted painfully. The door across the hall slowly creaked open. A dark apartment waited beyond it. And standing inside the doorway was me. Not a copy. Not someone similar. Me. Same clothes. Same terrified expression. He stared directly through the peephole at me. Then he raised one shaking finger to his lips, telling me to stay quiet. The lights outside flickered once. When they came back, the other version of me was closer to the door. I stumbled backward immediately. The flip phone buzzed again. Do not let him in. Suddenly someone began pounding violently on the other side of my apartment door. Not knocking. Slamming. The entire frame shook with each hit. A voice screamed from outside. My voice. Open the door. Please. I backed away in horror while the pounding grew louder. It's inside with you. The voice yelled. You have to let me in now. Tears streamed down my face because it sounded exactly like me. The same panic. Same breathing. Same fear. Another message appeared on the flip phone. It learns by copying. Then every light in the apartment suddenly turned back on at once. My television flickered alive by itself across the living room. Static hissed loudly through the speakers before an image slowly formed. A government seal appeared on screen above black text. Archival recording, Janus program. The video began automatically. A man in military uniform sat across from the camera inside a dark interview room. His face looked exhausted. For the record, someone behind the camera said, "State your name." The man swallowed hard. Dr. Alan Mercer. The interviewer asked another question. Can you explain the purpose of the Janus Initiative? The doctor stared silently at the table for several seconds before answering. It was never supposed to become human trials. My pulse hammered painfully in my ears. The doctor continued speaking in a shaky voice. The signal was discovered accidentally during deep-sea sonar experiments in Yetgao Batshut. At first they believed it was natural interference. But the sound carried patterns. Structured patterns. Once exposed long enough, subjects began hearing things that weren't there. The screen flickered with distorted static. Voices, the doctor whispered. Always voices. The interviewer asked, what happened to the subjects? The doctor looked directly into the camera then. His eyes filled with fear. They changed. The image distorted violently before cutting to another clip. Surveillance footage. Hospital rooms. People strapped to beds screaming at invisible things. Patients smashing their own heads into walls. Others staring motionlessly into corners for hours. One clip showed a woman repeatedly whispering, "It wears your face after it learns your grief." I couldn't look away. Another clip appeared. Security footage from inside a subway station. The timestamp read October th, Yetgao Gao Bat. A crowd of commuters suddenly stopped moving all at once. Every person turned their heads toward the same dark tunnel entrance. Then the footage cut abruptly. Final video appeared. Dr. Mercer again. Older now. Thinner. Terrified. If anyone finds these files, he said weakly, you must understand something. The signal ISN, T information. It is alive. The camera trembled violently as if the person holding it was shaking. It mimics memory because memory opens doors in the mind. Once it learns enough about you, it can cross over. My apartment lights flickered again. The doctor continued speaking faster now. Do not listen to the voices. Do not respond when it calls your name. And whatever happens, suddenly the doctor froze mid-sentence. His eyes drifted slowly towards something behind the camera. Absolute terror spread across his face. Oh God, he whispered. The screen exploded into static. Then silence. My reflection stared back at me faintly through the dark television screen. Except my reflection wasn't copying my movements anymore. It kept staring forward even after I stepped away. Slowly, the reflection smiled. Not a normal smile. Too wide. Too stretched. My blood turned to ice. Then the reflection lifted one hand and tapped the inside of the television glass 3 times. Knock. 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 Behind me, someone whispered softly from inside my apartment. He knows you can see him now. I turned around slowly. The hallway leading to my bedroom looked darker than before. And at the far end of it, near the open closet door, my dead brother was standing there staring at me. Except something about him was horribly wrong. His skin looked gray. Water dripped from his clothes onto the carpet. One side of his head was crushed inward exactly like it had been in the accident photos. Darkness swallowed everything. I couldn't even see my own hands anymore. The apartment felt different now, like the walls themselves had shifted while the lights were out. Then came the breathing again. Everywhere. Behind me. Above me. Inside the walls. Wet, uneven breathing surrounding me from every direction at once. I pressed myself against the kitchen counter trying not to panic completely. The flip phone glowed faintly in my shaking hand. One final message appeared on screen. IT's using your memories to enter. Another message instantly followed. You have 1 chance left. I typed blindly. Who are you? For several seconds nothing happened. Then the reply came. You. Before I could react, the apartment lights exploded back on so suddenly it hurt my eyes. My brother was gone. The hallway stood empty again. But the apartment no longer looked like mine. The wallpaper was peeling in long wet strips. Dark stains spread across the ceiling like mold or dried blood. Furniture sat in the wrong places. Family photographs I'd never seen before covered the walls. In every picture, I was smiling beside people whose faces had been violently scratched out. A low humming sound vibrated through the apartment. Deep. Mechanical. Familiar. My laptop screen flickered on by itself across the living room. A countdown timer filled the display. 午夜12:08分12秒, beneath it, red text flashed repeatedly. Retrieval window active. I slowly approached the screen. Another file opened automatically. This one wasn't classified footage or medical documents. It was a video recording from a webcam. Sitting exactly where I stood now. Same apartment. Same clothes. Same terrified face. The timestamp on the recording read tomorrow's date. Video me leaned toward the camera urgently. Listen carefully, he whispered. You don't have much time. My chest tightened painfully. If you re-seeing this, it means the cycle already started again. They lied about Janice being an experiment. It wasn't The recording glitched violently for a second. The signal ISN, alive in the way we understand life. It's more like a doorway. Something exists on the other side of it. Something that learns through grief and memory. Behind Video Me, I noticed movement in the apartment hallway. A tall shadow slowly crossed behind him. He didn't seem to notice. I know this sounds insane, he continued quickly, but you need to understand what happened to us. Us. Not me. Us. Tears burned my eyes again as realization slowly crawled into my head. The government never created Janus. They found it deep underwater during sonar tests. Every person exposed to the signal eventually reported the same things. Voices. Knocking. Dead relatives. Copies of themselves. The shadow behind him stopped moving. It stood directly behind his chair now. Motionless. Watching. But exposure doesn't infect everyone equally, Video Me whispered. Some people are more sensitive because they inherited it. My pulse froze. Inherited. Suddenly memories started crashing through my head all at once. My father waking up screaming in the middle of the night, when I was little. The strange radio equipment locked inside our garage. The way my mother used to whisper, "Dawn, answer if you hear someone calling after midnight." Things I ignored for years suddenly felt horrifyingly important. Video Me swallowed hard. Dad worked for Janus. I stopped breathing. He was part of the retrieval team. He helped contain exposed subjects. The shadow behind him leaned slightly closer. But containment failed. The signal spreads through observation. Through memory. Once you know about it, it begins learning you. The humming inside my apartment grew louder now. The walls vibrated faintly around me. Video Me's eyes filled with panic. There is only one way to stop it crossing over completely. The image distorted violently again. The shadow behind him now stood inches from his face. Its features remained blurry, shifting constantly like static. You have to destroy every copy of the files before the retrieval window ends. The countdown timer on my real laptop hit 午夜12:05 秒. If you fail, Video Me whispered, it replaces you. The screen abruptly cut to black. Silence filled the apartment again except for the deep humming noise vibrating through the walls. Then every photograph hanging around me slowly turned toward my direction at once. Not physically. The people inside the photos moved. Their scratched-out faces shifted toward me simultaneously. I stumbled backward in horror. Then the knocking started again. 3 knocks. Not at the door this time. Inside the apartment. From the walls. The floor. The ceiling. Everywhere. Knock. 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 The sound became deafening within seconds. Plaster cracked across the ceiling above me. Thin black liquid leaked from inside the walls. The television turned on again by itself. Static hissed loudly before dozens of faces appeared on screen at once. Missing people from the Janus files. They stared silently through the screen. Then all of them spoke together in one distorted voice. He opened the door. Every light bulb in the apartment burst simultaneously. Darkness returned instantly. But this time I wasn't alone in it. I could hear movement all around me now. Fast crawling sounds. Wet breathing. Bare feet dragging across the floor. The flip phone illuminated one final message. It's too late to run. Then the phone died completely. Something touched the back of my neck. Cold fingers. I spun around blindly and collided with someone standing directly behind me. Me. My exact face stared inches from mine in the darkness. Same eyes. Same voice. Same terrified expression. But his smile stretched too wide across his face. You kept listening, he whispered softly. I tried to back away, but more figures emerged around me from the dark apartment. My mother. My brother. The doctor from the videos. Dozens of people wearing my face. Their bodies twitched unnaturally as they slowly surrounded me. "You let us learn you," they whispered together. I screamed and grabbed the laptop from the desk, smashing it against the floor repeatedly until sparks exploded from the screen. The countdown vanished instantly. The humming sound stopped. Silence crashed over the apartment. Every figure froze motionless in the darkness around me. Then all at once, they disappeared. Just gone. The apartment lights flickered weakly back on. Normal walls. Normal furniture. My apartment looked ordinary again. No stains. No shadows. No people. I stood there shaking for what felt like hours before police finally arrived. Apparently my neighbors reported screaming and crashing noises around 3 in the morning. I told the officers everything. Every detail. The files. The videos. The voices. They searched my apartment thoroughly. Found nothing. No Janus folder. No broken laptop. No flip phone. According to them, my computer had never even been damaged. The officers exchanged nervous looks the entire time they questioned me. One of them kept staring strangely at the family photos on my wall. Right before they left, the older officer stopped